Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming for Omni Talk here at OpenStack Summit Sydney. My name is Sachin. I'm an engineer at Platform 9 Systems, and my co-speaker is Pushkar, who is an engineer as well. So just to provide first background on what Omni is a Big Tent project, and that is introduced by Platform 9. It is a project that we can use for multi-cloud management under OpenStack. Before we dive into Omni project details, a little bit about Platform 9. So we are a company who offer OpenStack as a SaaS. It's a managed OpenStack environment which is deployed on Amazon AWS, and it is managed and monitored by Platform 9 ops teams. So our customers don't have to install or configure OpenStack in any way. They just consume OpenStack just like any public cloud. We are going fast. We have 300 plus regions currently being actively managed by Platform 9 across all our customers. Our customers come from all over the world. In addition to OpenStack, we also offer Kubernetes as a service. Same concept. It's a managed offering which lets you consume Kubernetes-based clouds, nothing to install and configure, a completely private cloud environment. We work across the board. So our cloud solution for OpenStack as well as Kubernetes integrates with VMware, KVM, Kubernetes deployments can go over bare metal, Microsoft Azure, Google Compute Engine, as well as AWS. So what is Omni? Omni is a public, it's a hybrid and multi-cloud management project which is associated with OpenStack. It's a Big Tent project. And the idea for Omni is pretty simple. Omni lets you manage public clouds as if you are managing OpenStack. So using the same well-known OpenStack API, you can interact with something like Microsoft Azure or AWS and Google Compute Engine. And the benefit of this approach is that there is no vendor lock-in. There is a single interface to interact with any of your public as well as private clouds. So there is no retooling required. On top of that, Omni basically brings all the OpenStack benefits to the public cloud world. So you get the tenant-based multi-tenancy that OpenStack already offers, through which you can create quotas and limit the use of public cloud resources through Omni. So as an administrator of an enterprise, one can see how much utilization you have in public clouds alongside your private clouds. And of course, we also have the Keystone-based authentication integrated into Omni. So using Keystone, you can actually control or spin up workloads in your public clouds. So the idea is that for a public cloud like AWS, you don't have to create specific user accounts. You can just manage them through OpenStack. And those are really the benefits of Omni. Now, Omni architecture is pretty straightforward. Omni provides a driver for each of OpenStack projects. So we have a driver for Nova, which can talk to AWS, another driver which can talk to Azure, and so on. And the same concept stretches across Glance, Neutron, and Cinder. So basically, a Cinder driver of Omni can create EBS volumes on AWS, or Google volume, or GCE volumes on Google. So with that, let me hand it over to Pushkar, who will talk about V1 shortcomings.
Yeah, so when we started this Omni project, it used to just connect to a single availability zone, and it just connected to a single public cloud account. This had a lot of restrictions. Even at Platform 9, where we have internally 3 different AWS accounts, one for prod, one for dev, one for testing. So we had to spin up like 3 different controllers just to get that thing working in our internal cloud deployment. So with that in mind, I would like to go over the new features that we have added since the release. one of the major features is the support for GCE and Azure. Now this is kind of different with different clouds. For example, with Google GCE, we connect to a single project instead of a single account, which is their equivalent of a keystone tenant. With Microsoft Azure, though, we connect to an account and not to a project. With Microsoft Azure, you need much more orchestration on Azure to get subscription ID, tenant ID, client secret, and all those things, for which you might have to create an app explicitly in Azure. Another major hurdle in this integration is the different networking model that these three public clouds have and what OpenStack has. For example, with AWS, you have subnets that are attached to an AZ, while the VPCs can span the entire region. With GCE, the subnets can span multiple AZs. Same is the case with Azure. While at OpenStack, you have to specify the AZ when creating the network itself. So in a way, the network is tied to the AZ. So since OpenStack networking is the most restrictive model, that's what we have gone with right now. Now coming to the multi-easy support, when Omni v1 was released, we were using Liberty, where not all projects had seamless support for AZs. And that's why it was restricted to a single AZ. But now that we have the latest implementation uses the Neutron code base, where all the projects have some support for AZs. For example, if you want to create an AZ in Nova, you have to use Nova aggregate create, and at that time you can create the AZ. For Cinder, though it's different, you have to create a different configuration for the Cinder volume driver and then start the Cinder volume service. Similarly for Neutron, where you have to change the configuration to get to assign an agent to a particular AZ. And unfortunately, Neutron does not support basically a non-agent based plugin that with AZs. So there we have had to make certain tweaks to Neutron code to get it working. Now, this all seems quite tedious so to make it work, to make our lives easier, we have implemented another new service called as AZ Manager. That the sole purpose of that service is to just configure all the other, query the public clouds, get the number of AZs, and just start the services with this configuration so that all AZs are pre-configured for the use. Moving on to the multi-account support, like I said, inside Platform 9, we have 3 different AWS accounts, prod, dev, and test. So to make that work, we had to create 3 different clouds. Now, with this latest support, you can basically create 3 different tenants, dev, test, and prod, and assign 3 different keys to each of these tenants. And that's how it will easily work. To make this work, we have added a new service called as the Credentials Manager. What this service allows users is to upload different public cloud credentials and associate them with the different tenants. This does require certain changes on the drivers that Sachin just spoke about, in the sense that whenever the driver wants to create certain resources or manage certain resources, it now needs to query the Credentials Manager service for the public cloud credentials to use for managing that particular resource. And then it can go ahead and manage those resources on the public clouds. And all of this currently works. We have a short demo for that. So what I have here is a bunch of tenants. Currently, I have configured the demo tenant and the service tenant. So the demo tenant is associated with the Platform 9 account, while the service tenant is associated with the hybrid dev account that you see here. But before we can create any VMs, we first need to create networks. And the horizon that I'm using currently does not allow me to create AZs, while creating the networks. So that's why I'm doing it over command line. So I just source the demo admin RC. I'm going to create a network in the demo tenant. As you can see, I'm creating the tenant, creating this network in the EU West 1A AZ. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing using the service account, service tenant. But this time I'll use a different AZ. As you can see, I'm using the 1B AZ here. Okay, now that we have the networks, we can now go ahead and create instances in using these things. So right now, as you can see, I'm in the demo tenant. And now I'm going to launch an instance using the demo tenant. Since I had created the network in 1A using the demo tenant, I have to use the same AZ so that the network I can actually use that same network. So I select one of the images, select the flavor that I want to use. And as you can see, I can now use the demo network. And it's creating the instance. Now I had to cut this short at one point, and yeah. So we should now see the demo instance in the Platform 9 account. Now let's do the same using the service tenant. So I'm now going to switch the tenants. And again launch the instance. This time it will launch in the hybrid dev account, which is associated with the service tenant. Also now I'll have to use the 1B AZ because that's where I created the network in the first place. So I select the same flavor. And this time I can see the service network, one I created in the service tenant. Cool. Now this time, yes, the service instance is created in the hybrid dev account, which is where we had started to create it. As you can see, we are able to now integrate with, also able to do the same things on GCE and Azure clouds as well. Yep, that's all about it. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, so the script that I ran, create networks.sh, it actually creates a network, a Neutron network, and a Neutron subnet. And this actually translates to creating a VPC and a subnet in AWS.
So I just want to mention that to make Omni more palatable, we also have an internal service which sucks up information from public clouds. That is not part of Omni yet, but that's something that we are planning. And the idea is that if you have a public cloud which is already operating and you want to switch to Omni, it is able to suck up information from public clouds like running instances, volumes, networks, and feed the data into OpenStack so that it's a seamless environment where the public cloud can be operated offline, outside Omni, as well as within Omni.
Yeah, so since I was short on time, I didn't show that, but it's simple as creating, running glance image create with the same AMI ID. Yeah, all those details are there on the launchpad. Yes, you have to use the same AMI ID so that the driver now understands, because glance image create is just going to create a record. Yeah. Yes, flavors, you have to create the same VPC, vCPU and memory flavor.
So last but not least, Omni is a big tent OpenStack project. It's on OpenStack GitHub repo. So if you're interested, go check it out. Contributions are welcome. We need a lot of help in various areas of Omni.
Thank you.
Thank you.